A tiny Florida woman tried to choke her fiance with her feet. A Florida man is arrested for an attack with Snickers bars. The Nazis are marching in Florida, and it's okay. A Florida woman stole an ambulance while still wearing her hospital gown. And lastly, a Florida man is arrested while attempting to run across the Atlantic Ocean in a giant floatable hamster wheel. These are the weird stories for Friday on Weird AF News, and they're all from the state of Florida because on Friday we only do weird news from Florida. It's Florida Friday on Weird AF News. Yeehaw. Yeehaw, my friend. A tiny Florida woman was arrested for choking her fiancé with her feet. Damn. What's her number? Anybody asking for a friend? She sounds fun. Choking someone with your feet. Very skillful. In the story, they're calling her a diminutive woman. That's the word, diminutive, which is a nice way of saying a little lady. But although diminutive, you got to keep your eye on these Florida women. Although tiny, still can do some damage. The tiny Florida woman was arrested after allegedly using her little feet. They don't say little feet, but I'm saying little feet. It would be strange if this diminutive woman had huge feet. I'm going to guess they're very tiny, cute feet. You wouldn't think that you could be harmed by such tiny little feet, tiny little Florida feet, but no, you could be choked out by tiny, diminutive Florida lady feet. This is her fiance, by the way. I mean, things aren't going so smoothly. It's a Florida relationship. I mean, you can't really hold it to a high standard. There's going to be ups and downs in your Florida relationship. At some point, expect to be nearly choked out by the person you proposed to a few days earlier. The police were called to investigate a report of a fight at 6:40 a.m. at a mobile gas station. Mobile gas station, of all places to choke somebody out with your feet. A mobile gas station I wouldn't have expected. I assumed it was the bedroom, right? I mean, a little kinky and hey, I like a little bit of that, but you're squeezing too hard, honey. A man told the police he was driving a car when his fiancée, 20-year-old Emma Elizabeth Chase, began using her feet to choke him while driving. That's not good. I mean, it's difficult enough to drive in Florida when you're under the influence of alcohol, which they all are. I mean, there's one thing to drunk drive. There's another thing to attempt to drunk drive while someone's choking you at the same time. Even the greatest chemically induced Florida driver can't do this. A passenger in the back seat heard the man cry out, "I can't breathe." Who's this person in the back seat? The witness was in the back seat. Imagine witnessing that. That's awfully odd. The passenger said that Chase, who stands only 4 feet 11 inches tall and weighs 103 pounds, making her diminutive. It says this little lady would not release her grip on the man's neck, but not using her hands, using her feet. How strange. Maybe her hands were tied up. She was handcuffed in the passenger seat. You know, these Florida newlyweds are into some crazy stuff. I don't want to kink shame, you know. I don't want to do any Florida kink shaming. They're really into some stuff down there. The report notes, lastly, that Chase and this unnamed man, he's not being named, has been engaged for more than a year. Things seem to be going well. Man, we could be looking at a possible OnlyFans account for the two of these people. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people want to pay money to witness a little lady choke a man with her feet, with her cute little tiny feet. A Florida man is arrested after attacking employees with Snickers bars. And I snickered after reading this title. Hey! Pardon the puns. A Lakeland, Florida man was arrested. He's accused of pelting several Walgreens employees with Snickers candy bars during an early morning confrontation. Well, I need some more information here before I can ascertain whether or not this is real legitimate battery on Walgreens employees. Were the Snickers bars frozen? Because those could hurt. Otherwise, Snickers bars in the summertime are pretty soft and gooey, and they don't hurt. And in fact, they are delicious, of course. This poor Florida man, you know, because you're not you when you're hungry. I can see this happening. Do you remember the Snickers commercials where somebody acts out and then they say, "You're not you when you're hungry"? Maybe that's what's going on here. He could have avoided all of this if he just stopped mid-pelting and just ate a Snickers. That would have calmed him down. Did anybody try this? Any of the Walgreens employees try and save themselves in this manner? I think it would have worked. Now, the arrest documents allege that a highly intoxicated 23-year-old Florida man named Noy, N-O-Y, that's a strange first name, Noy. All right, we'll roll with it. Florida man Noy became agitated. Why? How could you get agitated in a Walgreens? Right about now, they're breaking out all that Halloween candy. It's a lovely place to be. He got agitated with the employees at the Clearwater Walgreens. They refused to sell him a box of cigarettes, citing the store policy. What's the store policy? He's 23 years old. He can buy. You have to pay for them. That's the policy. He was trying to just probably put him down his pants and walk out. Angered by the refusal to sell him a box of cigarettes. I guess because he's intoxicated. They can't sell you cigarettes when you're intoxicated. That's strange. I can see not selling you booze if you're intoxicated, but cigarettes, just give the guy cigarettes and get him the hell out ASAP. It's a strange choice by the Clearwater Walgreens employees. Not that they should have been pelted with Snickers bars, but, maybe think about these things. He was angered by the refusal, this guy named Noy. He allegedly, quote, became irate and threw Snickers bars at the store's manager, hitting him in the face. Other employees of Walgreens, witnessing their store manager being hit in the face with Snickers bars, rushed over to help and save him from this deadly Snickers attack. They ordered Noy to exit the store, but Florida men don't listen to such requests. Instead, Noy threw several Snickers bars at the employees, striking a few of them right in the chest. Wow, this guy's amazing, throwing Snickers bars. This is his superpower. Noy later told the police he didn't mean to throw the candy directly at the employees, but they checked the surveillance footage, the authorities did, and the video showed clearly Noy was very intentional where he directed the Snickers bars, according to the documents. I love that they just dove in like CSI to solve the case. He says he didn't mean to throw it directly at him. Let's check the surveillance footage. Yes, I've done some mathematics, and you can see the angle at which his arm was throwing the Snickers. He clearly was aiming for the chest area and the under chin of that employee. And this person was hit in the eye, unfortunately. Yes, we've concluded that it was very intentional, this Snickers attack. Bro, yeah, Snickers. Battery with a Snickers? Really? You're going to dive into this and prosecute this? I mean, it's a Florida man. Just be thankful he wasn't chucking meth gators at the employees at this point. Want to create your own podcast? Spotify's platform lets you easily make, record, and distribute a podcast everywhere, even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Record, edit on your phone or your computer, send it to Spotify and everywhere podcasts are heard. They even have video recording options. Spotify for Podcasters allows you to earn money with ads and subscriptions as well. Best of all, it's free. Try it. Download Spotify for Podcasters or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started. And good luck with your podcast. Good luck with your life, man. Following a shooting, Nazis march in Florida. Did you know we had Nazis in Florida? I had no idea. Not the weirdest group you'll encounter in Florida, I'd imagine. They say here that some Floridians holding swastika flags, identifying as a neo-Nazi group called the Blood Tribe, they held a rally in Orlando. The group of Nazis holding these flags bearing the swastika hate symbol and chanting white power apparently marched freely through the streets of Florida without any apparent police pressure whatsoever. That's good to know. The police in Florida got their hands filled with all these candy bar chuckers, it seems. That always happens right before Halloween. The so-called Red Shirts March comes a week after a white supremacist deliberately targeted black people in a racist mass shooting in Jacksonville. And it stood in stark contrast to the type of law enforcement treatment that has been routinely lent to nonviolent racial justice protests. This is very true. Apparently, if you're a Nazi, though, the police are kind of okay with it. I don't know why. The Nazi march took place in Orlando and was populated by members of the Blood Tribe and another Nazi group called the Goyim Defense League. These organizations are recognized by the Anti-Defamation League as hate groups. Yeah, clearly. Now, in case you're wondering what the values are of these groups, it says here the Blood Tribe promotes white supremacist views and openly directs its vitriol at Jews, non-whites, and the LGBTQ community. The Goyim Defense League is a loose network of individuals connected by their virulent anti-Semitism. They peddle anti-Semitic myths and conspiracy theories in hopes of turning Americans against all the Jewish people. Now, I guess the march was legit. It appears that they secured a permit in order to publicly demonstrate, prompting the question of why there was no visible police presence as self-proclaimed hate groups sought to raise awareness of their hateful causes in a part of the state where statistics show tens of thousands of Jewish people call home. Census data shows that black people also account for more than 23% of Orlando's population as well, which is very curious why the police weren't present at all in an area like this. Now, this is America, and people do have the freedom to gather in public space, and obviously you can get a permit for such gatherings. It's just a little curious why there was no police involved, because, I mean, I'm okay with the Nazis rallying, but I want to see other people showing up to shame the Nazis. I know it's hard to shame Nazis, but they deserve to be shamed. That's our freedom to show up and be like, boo Nazis, you know? And you really want to boo Nazis at every chance you get. If Nazis are scheduled to have a little march in my neighborhood, you better believe I'll be there booing them. And that's what they deserve. And I'm not saying get violent with them. I'm saying be there and put a little pressure on them. Let them know that this isn't a desirable experience for the community. And that being said, you would expect that, and therefore you would expect the police presence, but this is Florida. This one, come on now. White people can gather, no problem, no matter what sort of hateful rhetoric they're spewing. But black people gathering in Florida, different story. Different story. The police are going to be there. And they're going to have them on a short leash. Because that makes them very uncomfortable. Nazi, not so uncomfortable. Now we're kind of okay with this white supremacist values that they're bringing to the table here. It just makes no sense. Oh, yeah, America. Yay! A Florida woman in a hospital gown takes an ambulance on a joyride. I like this woman. The Port St. Lucie Police Department say that on Wednesday afternoon, 25-year-old Marquesa Allen was sitting on a bench outside the Florida St. Lucie Hospital in her hospital gown. That's when she noticed ambulance personnel were inside dropping off a patient, leaving the ambulance completely unattended. She had an idea. Why should I continue to sit here on a bench outside the hospital when I can just go for a joyride? So still wearing her hospital gown, Miss Allen stole the ambulance and fled the parking lot. The police were immediately able to track down the ambulance, pull her over, and arrest her for stealing the ambulance. I don't know why she thought she could get that far in a vehicle like this. It's very trackable, I'd imagine, the ambulances, and they're very loud. They go, wee, wee. If you're going to steal a vehicle, you want a quiet vehicle. A Tesla, that's a quiet vehicle, and they all look alike, so hard to find a stolen Tesla, to be honest with you. They're all white. It's just all white Teslas. Everybody driving a white Tesla. But an ambulance, well, you really stick out in the crowd when you're fleeing in an ambulance. Well, there's a photo of Miss Allen, our Florida woman, in her gown, seated on the grass on the highway next to the ambulance. She doesn't look regretful at all. She actually looks surprised that she was not allowed to continue to drive the ambulance. I'm sure she wanted to go show off her new ride in front of her friends. Hey, Marquesa, wow, that's a sweet whip you got there, girl. Where'd you get that? I don't know, it was just sitting there with the keys in it. So strange. They just leave these things around. Nobody was in it. It looked lovely. You guys want to get in the back? You can lay down back there. There's all kinds of cool equipment and chemicals, too. That's the end of the article. I got no more information on our Florida lady in the gown. Maybe she had I don't know, good intentions with the ambulance. Maybe she was going to actually answer calls. Yeah, we got a choking victim. We got several people that have been injured by Snickers at a local Walgreens. She's like, this is ambulance number 809. I'm on it. I'll be there. I'm going to rescue those people that have been injured by the Snickers. A Florida man was arrested by the Coast Guard for attempting to cross the Atlantic in a human-sized hamster wheel seagoing vessel. A lot of you sent me this story, and this isn't the first time I've covered this individual. Coast Guard officials arrested a Florida man after they intercepted his unusual hamster wheel contraption that he was allegedly attempting to run to London in. He was going to cross the Atlantic. Well, I don't think there's any laws that say you can't take a hamster wheel across the ocean. I've never seen such laws. Man, the government doesn't want you to have any fun anymore. Why can't I take my hamster wheel oceanic contraption all the way across the ocean? What's wrong with that? I packed my snackables. I have enough supplies. There's a criminal complaint now because 44-year-old Reza Bellucci is facing these federal charges after the Florida man was rescued 70 miles off Tybee Island. This is in Georgia by the Coast Guard officials. He's a marathoner, or was a marathoner, and he was found in his bizarre hamster wheel contraption and was asked by the Coast Guard some standard questions. Yeah, I mean, you got to expect if you're traversing the open sea in a giant hamster wheel, eventually you're going to be asked some questions by the Coast Guard. Like, you're not going to get very far in a bizarre hamster wheel contraption without some questions being asked by the Coast Guard, I'd imagine. It says, based on the condition of the vessel, which was afloat as a result of wiring and various buoys, the Coast Guard officers determined that Floridaman Bellucci was conducting a manifestly unsafe voyage. Yeah, they deemed it was very unsafe based on just looking at the vessel, and I would concur looking at it. There's a photo of it. You should probably Google this and take a look at it. It doesn't look like it's going to make it across a lake, to be honest with you. I don't know. It looks kind of cool, but not for the open sea, I wouldn't think. You need at least a sail, buddy. I mean, you're not going to run all the way to London in this thing. But, you know, kudos for you. He's a marathoner. Maybe he thinks he can do it. The article gives a description of the, quote, unsafe vessel. It's a giant metal drum with inflatable buoys on each side and paddles that are powered by a runner inside. Now, the complaint says that Bellucci was unable to provide officials with the required registration for his hamster water vehicle, and he informed the officials that he was running in his hamster wheel all the way to London, England, which they must have thought was totally sane. The Coast Guard officers told Bellucci they were cutting his voyage short. At that moment, Bellucci threatened to kill himself with a 12-inch knife if anyone tried to apprehend him. Well, that escalated. It's a Florida man. It's going to go from 4 to 11. Bellucci also claimed to have a bomb on board his hamster wheel as well. Wow. Okay. These are very strange negotiation tactics on the part of the Florida man. Hey, man, you can't take your wheel across the ocean. Oh, no, I'm going to blow myself up. That's what I'm going to do. Well, first, I'm going to stab myself to death and then blow myself up. Or no, I might blow myself up and then stab myself. What do you think of that, Coast Guard? You going to let me go now? It says here, after days of trying to get Bellucci to board the Coast Guard vessel, days? They negotiated with this guy for days? Come on, man. Just let the sharks eat the guy. What's wrong with you, man? Spending all these resources to talk a maniac out of killing himself? Why? It says after days of trying to negotiate with Bellucci to get on their vessel, Bellucci admitted finally he did not have a real bomb. And finally, the officers were able to get him to disembark, and they took him to the base in Miami Beach, Florida. According to the court documents, this was not the first attempt by Bellucci to run on water in his giant hamster wheel. He's attempted similar voyages in 2014, 2016, and 2021, all of which have ended with Coast Guard intervention. I covered one of these. I haven't been doing the podcast since 2014, so it was either the 2016 one or the 2021 one. But this sounds familiar, vaguely, although I don't recall him threatening to stab himself or blow himself up in the previous voyages. Now, the article ends by saying Bellucci has claimed that he will never give up on his dreams. Here's this quote. "I'll never give up on my dream. They stopped me 4 or 5 times, but I'm never going to give up." I love this guy. He has a dream. Yeah, his dream is to pedal his little floaty device all the way to London. A strange dream, but I think the real dream here is for him to maybe get 400 miles and then just die in the middle of the ocean. I think that's way more achievable than getting to London. Yay! Hi, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Weird AF News. And I want to thank you for sending me Florida stories the last couple of days. I appreciate all of that. You can always send me stuff to funnyjones@gmail.com, or you can sneak into my DMs on Instagram @funnyjones as well. I'm Funny Jones everywhere. Twitter, Funny Jones, Twitter, all those things. Funny Jones, Instagram, Funny Jones, MySpace, if you guys are still kicking it on MySpace. I don't even know where my MySpace account went. I guess they're all gone. They went the way of the dinosaurs. Anyways, I got a lot of feedback lately, and I want to let you know how much I appreciate all the messages. I got a really cool email from, this is a name that I can't really pronounce. Oh, it's Kate. Well, the actual email is a different name, but then it's Kate. "Hey, therapist Kate from Moore, Oklahoma. For well over a year, I've been listening to you, Jonesy, on my Alexa daily briefing. I have wanted to call for so long. I've tried to catch the number so many times, but when you say it, the numbers scramble in my head like Waffle House eggs, and I miss it. Anyway, love the show. Maybe I'll catch the phone number next time. Kate, the number is 646-450-2012. There you go. You got it. Write it down. Kate says, "At first I was appalled by your podcast, and I tried to remove it from my briefing, but it wouldn't delete. So I was forced to listen. I'm so glad, because after a while, I grew a proper sense of humor and can't wait to hear your podcast on a daily. I'm listening now, and a guy is yelling about Rat Boy, LOL. Keep doing what you're doing. You rock." Kate, therapist Kate. Thank you so much, Kate, for this email. I think it's really funny. I wanted to read this one because of the part where she says, at first she was appalled and tried to remove it, but couldn't delete it. I'd imagine there's a lot of people out there that can't figure out how to delete it, and they're just like, what the heck? I got to listen to this crap. That's when I get the bad reviews, right? When I'm forced upon you. Hey, I didn't make the choice. I don't know how I'm in I don't know anything about the technology on the other side. I don't know how I'm in Alexa, how you get it. I don't listen to podcasts on smart home speakers. I don't have a smart home speaker, whatever you call those, smart speakers. Because I don't have a home, sadly. No, I just don't have those devices. I don't want them in my house. It's just too much. I want to live a simple life with the smartphone, and that's it. Anyways, I'd imagine some people get stuck with my podcast and they can't figure out how to get rid of it. And then maybe it grows on some of them like it did Kate. But other people, I'd imagine, just are like, what the heck, man? Anyways, this was a very funny email, and I'm so grateful that you wrote me, Kate. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Shout out to therapist Kate in Oklahoma. And what else? Well, I hope you're having a nice weekend, or you had one, or you're about to have one. And if you would like to support the show, you can write me a nice email like Kate did. That always makes me feel good. Good feelings are a nice currency in this world, I have to tell you. I'm a rich guy because I get good feelings all the time, and some of them are not chemically induced. Imagine, on the natural feeling good, it does happen. It can happen. When I feel the love from the listeners, it does happen, so I'm grateful for that. And lastly, if you'd like to support the show by buying me a coffee or joining the Patreon, go to weirdafnews.com. You can buy me a coffee off of that. And I promise you the money will be spent on coffee only. Haha, wink, wink. No cannabis here, guys. Come on, this is California. We're not into it. We're just not. What, do you think a guy that records a podcast all alone in a closet is going to get high first? No way. No way. I just naturally enjoy this. Sweating my ass off in here. Also, if you want to join the Patreon, that's a great way to buy me a cup of coffee every month. Go to patreon.com/weirdafnews or download the Patreon app on your phone. It's Patreon and do a search for Weird AF News. Or you can click on the Patreon link in the description of the podcast as well. Or if you're listening on a smart speaker, you can probably tell the smart speaker to go to Patreon. I don't know how those work at that point, but yeah, I'm sure you can figure it out. But it's probably just easier to download the app on your phone if you want to join. And then you get extra weird content that I put in the Patreon every week. I put new weird stuff in there. Some of it's personal. Some of it's just weird content that I come across that's inappropriate for the podcast. So you're going to want to see that shit. All right. I love you and good luck with your life, man.